Plaintiff Martin Butler is suing Carrie Cordell for the value of a car. Martin says he and the defendant were just friends who had a sexual relationship until the defendant crashed his car while driving drunk. Carrie insists she and Martin were in a relationship, and she's countersuing for harassment because she claims the plaintiff texted her 186 times after Carrie dumped him.
Martin Butler is suing Carrie Cordell, his former friend, for the value of a car and car stereo speakers. Carrie is countersuing her ex-boyfriend for harassment. How are you today?
I'm fine, ma'am. How are you?
Good. What is your relationship with the defendant?
We're just friends. I've known Miss Cordell for over 15 years. She was a regular at a bar I bartended at. And I got married, moved away, came back, was getting divorced, living at my brother's house. I told her that I was looking for a way to get away from my brother's house, and she had me come stay at her house.
Just like that?
Yes, ma'am.
Right, and we were just friends. No, that I beg to differ. As much as I hate to admit it, we were not just friends, Judge Pirro.
You had a relationship?
Yes, we did.
How long after you
Very shortly after we started, I ended it. It didn't take long to realize that he was not quite there. We had been friends and acquaintances for about 10 years.
So you knew him for 10 years, and then he says he needs a place to stay. He's not getting along with his brother. So you say, move in with me?
Well, it wasn't quite that way. The joke at my house is he's the date that never left. When he moved in,
Your Honor, that's...
the first night
How do you know what they said about you?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, that's what my mother seems to think, and she resides with me. My 3 children, who he is completely, he was text messaging my children after he moved out of my house, which really spooked me. I have 3 sons.
How old?
16, 15, and 14.
So what was spooky?
He lived in Minneapolis with his brother when we first met.
Right.
And I live in St. Paul, which is quite a ways away.
Right.
And I was drinking back then, and so was he. I've since been 8 months sober since this whole thing happened.
Good.
So we did a lot of drinking in...
You still drinking?
Nope.
You sober too?
Yes, ma'am. I
Okay.
need to move on with my life, and that's what I've been doing for quite a few months now. And as far as being in a relationship with her, it's kind of hard to be in a relationship when she has her ex-husband and her boyfriend living in the same house. So where do I fall in? Where
You
do I
were
fall in?
also living there.
Your 3
Yeah,
sons, your
I have 3
ex-boyfriend and your
sons.
ex-husband?
My ex-husband did, we've been divorced for 16 years, and my ex-husband and I are very good friends. And my living situation was, yes, my ex-husband was renting from me. And, you know, I'm not,
How big is this house?
It's a 6-bedroom house. It's a split level. And he had a bedroom in the basement, and Marty knew that when we started dating, and I was completely open about it.
But what about the boyfriend? He said there was a boyfriend.
There was no boyfriend living in my house. There's
Who's
an
the
ex.
boyfriend?
Pat.
Who's Pat?
Pat is an ex of mine of many years, and we've been friends
What do you
for...
collect exes?
Well, you know, no, I have a belief that, you know, just because you split up with somebody, you don't need to be enemies, which
But
is...
you don't need to keep living with them all.
Well, nobody said my ex Pat was not living with me. Marty was
Yes,
very
ma'am, he
jealous
was.
of Pat because Pat was with me the night that I did get into the accident with the car. And Marty had known about Pat all along, too. He had absolutely no problem with it when we started dating until all of this happened.
Now,
No,
let me
it's
ask
a different
stupid
story.
question. Now, you come home with her for the first night.
Yes, ma'am.
And
We
you
didn't go
spend
home.
the-
We went to a hotel.
Okay. At some point, you come to the house. At the breakfast table, you bump into her ex-husband and her other boyfriend. I mean, is it uncomfortable?
Oh, it felt like the midnight delight, I guess.
Oh, okay, and that's why you stayed.
Yes.
I couldn't figure
was
out
free.
exactly. Yeah, it was free.
It was free.
Right, so there you go. He paid me absolutely no rent while he was there. I never asked him. I always I wondered why he wasn't speaking with his brother while he, you know, became the date that never left, and realized that he and his brother were arguing because of money that he had owed him for rent, probably, that he did not pay.
What is your version here, Martin?
My version is I was not looking for a relationship. Did not have, well, we had sexual relationships. I won't lie about that. But as far as a relationship, I wasn't looking for one. I just got out of divorce.
What's it like living with her?
You're under oath, remember.
Oh, no, I have
Thank
no
you, Carrie.
complaints living with her. You know, I stayed in my area. She stayed in hers. We went and did things together. And
Where were those areas?
we were
My
friends.
bedroom?
I'm going to let it all pass. Tell me why you're here suing.
I am here to sue Miss Cordell for the price of my car, my stereo equipment, my CDs, everything. She went out. She took me to work that morning.
With your car?
No, with her car because my car was blocked in.
Okay.
So she dropped me off. I said, I'll get a ride back. I called her. She said, I won't be here. I'm going out with the girls for a girls' night out.
Yes.
Well, I got home. I figured my car was in the garage. I went to bed. I get a call the following morning about 5 o'clock going, I'm arrested. They're arresting me for DWI, and I wrecked your car. I said, how bad is it? She says it's totaled because I rolled it like 6 times.
What happened that night, Carrie?
Well, unlike Mr. Butler put it, he gave me permission to take his car.
Why?
Judge Pirro.
Why would he do that if you had
Because
your own car?
we were going up north.
Who's we?
Pat and I were going up
The
north.
guy.
Well, their other friends were all meeting us up there. It was
The guy who was the boyfriend who was living in the house too.
Pat did not live in my house. My ex-husband rented from me. Pat is a friend.
I
Right.
heard you. But
Right.
then you said you like to maintain relationships
Exactly.
with people.
Right.
And he said Pat was living in the house.
Well,
so it's not yet
obviously
determined. And
everything's so-
don't correct me. It's not a good idea.
Well, he was
Okay.
not living in the house, so
All
I
right.
decided to make that clear.
You say he was.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay.
I'll decide.
Mr.
what's clear.
Mr. Butler had known that night that we were swapping cars. He did have his car got better gas mileage. He said, no problem, take mine. So we went up north.
No,
and
where did he get the keys to the car?
he gave them to me.
All right. What kind of car was it that you were driving?
I can't remember the year, but it was a Daewoo. A Daewoo with a rebuilt engine in
A
it because
2000 Daewoo Lanos.
which his sons had already wrecked, and he had a rebuilt engine in it, and yeah, right, he had a bunch of problems. But yes, I did go up
I
north.
want to see a picture of this car.
I don't have a picture either, but I have the Kelly
Do you have a
Blue.
picture?
I have a.
Do you have a picture?
And I'd love to tell you why he doesn't have a picture.
I don't want to hear it yet.
No, ma'am, I have a picture of what it looked like in the other room. I mean, it's from the Kelly Blue book, like she's trying to say. so-
I want to see a picture of it. So, Jimmy, let's have somebody get a picture of it. I want to see this car. All right? I don't want to see your blue book. I want to see the car.
that's-
Now, you said, this is a small foreign car? Is
Yeah.
that what
Yes.
you're saying?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I did. Marty and I swapped vehicles. I left him with my keys to my black Kia Spectra. Pat and I drove up. I met, as I said, 16 people from high school.
Whatever. Yeah, then what?
And at about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, I wanted to start heading back because I had to be to work the next morning. And I didn't want to be late for work. So yes, we were drinking. I had quit drinking about 6-7 hours prior to driving. The year before, I had had gastric bypass. So
Well,
alcohol
hold
was-
on.
it's been a long time.
What was your blood alcohol?
0.11.
Okay, so tell me about the accident. Did Pat get hurt?
No, well, Patrick, yes.
He drinks too?
Yes, he drinks too. On the way back, I was intoxicated. I'm not going to deny that at all. At all. I was swerving.
Okay.
I swerved to the right side of the road, tried to overcorrect the car, pulled to the left, pulled back to the right, and the car rolled 4 times. I'm not
Were you
denying
okay?
that at all. That's
Were
what
you
put
okay?
me in treatment. That's why I've been sober for 8 months.
You were
I have-
convicted?
Yes, I was. I'm in the middle of the case right now. Actually, I've got Marty had to tell you, he's been texting me for 2 months watching my case, which is public record, but it's kind of
What's
strange.
to watch? You either go to trial
he
or
would
you
text
plead.
message me, I hope you have a good day in court tomorrow with your high dollar attorney, just stuff like that. So he's kind of been spooking me the whole time.
Is this your first
watching.
DWI?
It actually, after I'd gotten my gastric bypass, I got 2 in a year. So that's why I put myself into treatment. It was just not.
No, you put yourself into treatment so you wouldn't go to jail. That's
No,
another one. Don't
I
pull the
did
wool
do
over
jail
my
time,
eyes on
ma'am. I
that.
did do jail time.
Do you have a picture of this car? How can you possibly come to court without a picture of the car?
Yes, ma'am,
A picture
I know.
without the car of the car damaged?
There it is. It's right there.
It's not so small. Is that the car? Show it to the defendant. Show it to Carrie. Thank you, Jimmy. So you're suing him for harassment. Is
This
that the
one
car?
looks a whole lot better than his, but yes, that's the car.
Well, after you finish with it.
Yeah, looks way worse. You should have seen it by the time I started, though. It really wasn't much different.
You're suing him for harassment because he's text messaging you. What's he saying?
Well,
what does he do? Show me.
It all, you know, and I'm sorry I didn't bring any of this. I had 4
The
days.
two of you belong
Well,
together.
I had 4 days to prepare.
Are you bothering her? Are you texting her?
No, ma'am.
Look at me
Actually,
when
I
you
can
say
show you
that.
some texts she sent me showing how such a nice guy I am.
Were you texting her?
Yes, I was asking her if she was going to pay for my car, and she kept saying yes.
How many times do you think you texted her?
Probably about 14.
186, Your Honor.
Oh.
You know what the shame? You know what the shame of this is? I could have awarded you something, but you don't have the text messages.
Exactly.
It's about evidence.
Exactly.
You've got 2 criminal charges pending against
Right.
you or
Absolutely.
resolved. You know better than that.
Absolutely.
All right. At the end of the day, you are suing for the damaged car, which she admits she was drunk.
Yes, ma'am.
And it rolled over, I don't know, 4 or 6 times. The value of the car, you say, is $3,300. The blue book, if it's in excellent condition, is $2,900. So you pumped it up a little there.
Because,
Stop talking. The value of the car stereo speakers. What's that about?
Well, it's just an accumulation of the speakers, the stereo, the CDs, everything that I put into it.
Which the police told him to go pick up, and he never did.
Nope.
He was more worried about me than he was the car. I had offered him, Marty, we have to get up there and get the stereo system. It's worth, this and that. No, it's not worth going up there. It's not worth taking the time off. I couldn't have done more to try and help him. I offered to buy him a used car. He wouldn't take that.
Tell me why you didn't go and get the stereos
Because
out
she
of the
wouldn't give me a
car.
ride. And I had no other way.
And he has no other friends or brother or
That's
family
enough.
members?
Thank you. That's enough. Okay, the issue for the court is whether or not the plaintiff is liable to the defendant for harassment. She says 180 some text messages, and whether the defendant is liable to the plaintiff for property damage. There's no question that the defendant took the car that belonged to the plaintiff. There's a disagreement as to whether she took the keys or he gave her the keys. I don't much care at this point. Put your hand down.
Yes, ma'am.
And at the end of the day, she admits she was drunk. She got into an accident. She rolled the car over. And therefore, she is responsible for any damage to the car.
Which we had paid.
Just stop talking. Now, the plaintiff is somewhat disingenuous, as is the defendant. They both are, and that's why I think they belong together. But the plaintiff gave me NAD guides, which is not the same as the car that he says he owns. Therefore, his request for $3,300 is denied. But I will give him the fair market value of the Lanos sedan for D. In between good and excellent. Excellent's $29.95. Good is $27. I'll give you $28.95. The value of the car stereos are $1,500. You have admitted to the court yourself that you didn't get them out of the car because you didn't have a ride. That is one of the most ridiculous things I've heard in this case of a series of ridiculous statements. At the end of the day, you owe him $28.95 for a car. Your claim against him is dismissed. So ordered. Thank you.